So the projectors that you're looking at right here are a part of Hisense's C2 lineup of laser projectors. So we have the C2, the C2 Pro, and the C2 Ultra. Of course, the Ultra being the one that has all of the top of the line specs. But I will tell you, my experience with all three of these has been very consistent and just really good quality, no matter how much you want to spend for whichever version that you do want. And so yes, I have partnered with Hisense for this video to show you all of these projectors. And just getting into one of my favorite things about all three of these is that they are based on a gimbal design, meaning that you can rotate these around 360 degrees. Then they all do have 135-degree range of movement vertically. So you can tilt these up and point these towards a ceiling to be able to lay in your bed and then watch a movie or a video, or you can actually have this off-centered from your wall or your projector screen that you actually want to use these with. So you don't have to have them directly centered, and sometimes maybe at a party or maybe at an event, you might not be able to put the projector right in front of the screen. So this is super important, being able to easily tilt the projector itself and get it to the angle that you want. But also built inside all three of these projectors, you do have some auto correction when it comes to the keystone and also the autofocus. And to keep this simple, it means that you can point this at the screen and then you can automatically run a particular setup to look at the area that you're trying to project on and then give you a very level and even image. And then also it can auto fit to a projector screen as well. So it'll be able to see how big your screen is and then condense the screen down to make sure it fills it edge to edge. And then also you do have that autofocus, so it'll make sure all of your videos are going to be nice and in focus and crisp. And then all three of these projectors can actually zoom the image in and out. But with the C2, you just have digital zoom, but with the C2 Pro and the C2 Ultra, you do have optical zoom. So basically the difference between optical and digital means that you're just going to maintain a higher level of quality with optical zoom. Now the Ultra and the Pro still do have digital zoom, but it just only happens when you reach the limits of the optical zoom, whereas on the C2, you just digital zoom the whole time. But the main advantage of any type of zoom is the fact that you don't have to like physically move the projector forward and backward as much because you have to zoom to mess around with. And now all of these corrections, again, you can have it do it automatically, but also you still do have manual control. So if you just really want to make sure it's fine-tuned exactly how you want with the manual keystone or the manual focus or the manual zooming, you can still do that in the settings. Oh, and this also does have smart object avoidance. So if you have like a light switch on your wall, it won't project the image on top of that. It'll actually move it to the side of that to avoid that blemish in your image. And this also does have intelligent eye protection. So if you do walk in front of the projector to protect your eyes from the laser, it'll go ahead and automatically dim that image. And this is important, especially if you have kids walking in front of it, to make sure their eyes stay safe. And then these projectors can also detect what type of wall color that you're using, because if you are trying to project onto a blue wall, it will be way different as far as like the picture quality as if you are trying to project on a white wall. So you can have the projector be able to go ahead and compensate for that to give you the best image. And so the gimbal design and all of these different adjustment settings means that I can move these projectors in any room, or I can take it to a whole nother location, and I'm not going to have to spend a lot of time trying to get the image exactly how I want. But if you don't plan on moving these around a lot, you do have a mounting point at the bottom, so you can mount these onto a tripod or different types of stands. And also these are very flexible with different mounting solutions, so you can mount these on a ceiling or just put it different places depending on how your setup is. And weight wise, when it comes to moving these around, the Ultra comes in at 13.9 pounds, the Pro at 12.6 pounds, and the regular C2 at 11.7 pounds. But after you get everything set up the way you want, of course, you want to know about the picture quality. And all three of these do have a triple color laser setup. And so Hisense has this laser setup to be where you're going to be getting very good color accuracy and also really good sharpness and brightness to your image. Now, one advantage of using lasers in these projectors along with the picture quality is also you do get 25,000 plus hours of use out of the lasers in these projectors. So that means that you're going to have a very nice, consistent picture quality for a very long time while you're using these. And each one of these can go between 65 to 300 inches as far as like the overall picture size. So how big of that image that you can get on your wall or your projection screen while maintaining some really good quality. You have a really good range there. Now, of course, at this point, I could just go over the spec sheet and talk about the color gamut and also the contrast and all these things that are important. But to keep it simple, out of the box, once I set up these projectors, I didn't find myself wanting to adjust the image at all. I was very happy and pleased with the color accuracy, the white balance, and just everything going on with it. So sometimes on these projectors, you can find the image to be a little bit more cooler or on the blue side, or either warmer on the orange side. These are just very balanced, ready to go, whether I was watching a movie or a YouTube video or anything like that. But look, if you are someone who wants to tinker around with the settings and get the image exactly how you want, you can still go into the settings and do that. This is just like the adjustment settings that I talked about before. You can have it just do everything automatically, or you can do some more manual control. Now, there are some differences here with the type of performance you can get overall with these projectors. So with the Ultra, when it comes to brightness, it does have 3000 lumens. On the Pro, you do have 2600 lumens, and on the C2, you do have 2000 lumens. So if you do plan on using a projector in a very bright room in the middle of the day with all the blinds open and you just want a lot of sunlight in, the Ultra is definitely going to be your best bet. But the Pro and C2 still can handle their own. It's just that the Ultra has that higher brightness level to be able to make sure your picture looks even better. And for most of the shots in this video, I just left it at the default brightness of 50% and it performed great. Now, I'm an avid movie watcher, so these two settings are important to me when it comes to a projector, and that's going to be IMAX Enhanced and also Dolby Vision. And so on the C2, you do have support for Dolby Vision, but on the Pro and the Ultra, you do have Dolby Vision and you do have the IMAX Enhanced capabilities. And so yeah, you'll find Dolby Vision in a lot of different things, but the IMAX Enhanced is one of those things that everything doesn't have just yet. And so this means that if you are watching a movie that was filmed in IMAX, you'll get some enhancements that make the picture quality and also the audio quality better. And that's what you get when you do go watch an IMAX movie. And with this type of IMAX content, you can actually see the aspect ratio change while you're watching a movie, because not all movies are shot with IMAX cameras from the beginning all the way to the end. So you can see in this example, you can see it change to give you that expanded view that fills up your screen a lot more. And all three of these projectors can do 4K video, and also you can do 3D video as well. You have to bring your own glasses to that party though. Oh, and I can't leave my gamers out the way because I still consider myself a gamer, even though I'm getting old and my response time isn't like it used to be. But these projectors are still good for gaming, not only because you can get a really big image, but also with something especially like the C2 Ultra, which is actually designed for Xbox. So it does have that certification that you get when you do have something that is able to give you a really good response time. So with the Ultra, you can get a 12 millisecond response time along with a 240 hertz refresh rate. So I was able to play the finals with my Xbox controller, and as soon as I hit a button or move the joystick to make a movement, I didn't find that input lag to be annoying that sometimes happens on projectors. So it was very responsive in game. Now let's talk about how you're going to be watching the content on this projector. So built in, we do have the Vita operating system on all three of these projectors. And so this is very nice and clean software that has all of your favorite streaming apps like Netflix, YouTube, YouTube TV, Apple TV Plus, all of the stuff that you want to watch movies or TV shows with. You're going to find a lot of those apps here on these projectors built in by default. But the main thing I like about this Vita software is that it's just very responsive. It's very fast. So whatever processors that they have inside of these projectors and the kind of optimization they've made with the software and the hardware means that when I'm using the remote control to navigate, I'm not waiting on it to respond to me, where sometimes with projectors you might find that to be the case. And speaking of the remote control, you do have the same remote control for all three of these projectors. So you do have a microphone button there because you do have a built-in microphone where you can talk to your projector to be able to look up certain apps and things. Oh, you can also use this with Amazon Alexa. And then also you do have your Netflix, YouTube, Prime Video, and Disney Plus shortcut buttons at the bottom. But you can also control these projectors using your smartphone. So you can download the Vita app on your phone, and then now you can use that to be your remote control just in case you lose your actual physical remote control in your couch, which I do a lot. And you can also use this app to play media or just different photos and videos that you might have on your phone and go ahead and cast that over to the projectors and be able to control it that way if you're trying to show off some family photos or whatever. But if you are looking to plug in things like your set-top box, your cable box, or whatever else uses a cable into the back of the projectors, you can still do that. So you have the same type of ports on all of these projectors, just some different specs. So with the two HDMI ports on the Ultra and the regular C2, those come in at HDMI 2.1, and then with the Pro you do have one HDMI 2.1 port and one 2.0 port. And then with the two USB Type A ports on the Ultra and the regular C2, those come in at 3.0, and then with the Pro you have one 3.0 and one 2.0. And then all three of these do have an optical port and also an Ethernet port and an audio in port. And all of these do have Bluetooth built in, so it makes it very easy for you to wirelessly connect to something like a soundbar. But if you do have the C2 Ultra, you might not find yourself wanting to do that often, because this has the best built-in speaker setup of any type of projector in this type of form factor that I've used. And so you will find JBL speakers in all three of these projectors, but on the Ultra, you also have a 20-watt subwoofer. So don't get me wrong, I like the sound coming out of the C2 and the C2 Pro, but that Ultra, it just really sounds not only loud, it sounds very full and detailed, and it's not very thin sounding that sometimes you get with built-in speakers on projectors. And so I normally only use it up to like 40% volume level in my house, and it's able to fill up my entire room with sound, but also you're getting that bass from the explosions in your action movie or the video game that you're playing. Now look, if you are trying to get that complete movie theater experience, you're probably still going to use some external speakers, but the advantage of having a built-in speaker that sounds this good means that I can take this projector outside for like a boxing party or something, or I can take it to another location and I'm not trying to have to worry about getting an external speaker because the built-in speaker is just not loud enough to allow everyone to hear the action and whatever's going on. Okay, so I think that's about it. So there's a lot going on with these C2 projectors, but hopefully by now you have a really good sense of what this entire lineup can bring. And I think Hisense has a really good selection here across all three prices that really gives you something, depending on how much you want to spend, that's really going to just enhance your home TV watching experience. And so at this time, the normal price for the C2 is $2,299. The Pro is coming in at $2,499, and the Ultra is coming in at $2,999. But what I want you to do is to make sure you check out the link down below in the description of this video, because that will have the latest pricing along with any other type of sales or discounts that might be going on that you might be able to take advantage of. But I do want to encourage you to drop a comment down below and let me know what you think about these projectors yourself. But like always, I do want to thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you later. Peace.